Okay, so let's dive deep into the stack of sources you've shared. We're talking Phil Robertson here.
Right. The Duck Commander, founder, reality TV star from Duck Dynasty.
Exactly. And our mission really is to unpack what this material actually says about his business side. And, specifically, is there a real connection to public financial markets like stock trading?
Yeah, but looking through these, the picture they paint is pretty consistent. Successful private company, Duck Commander.
Duck calls, outdoor gear, that stuff.
That's the one. And then, of course, the show, Duck Dynasty, just made that brand explode.
Oh, absolutely huge. So the main question, and we're sticking only to what's in these sources,
Right.
does this really prominent guy with his company and that massive media presence actually have like significant ties to public stock markets or trading?
Well, what's interesting is how the sources frame it. They show he's connected to some genuinely huge organizations, but that direct link to public financial markets, it seems pretty tangential.
How so? Give me an example from the sources.
Okay, take the show itself. Aired on A&E, co-owned by Hearst, which is private, and Disney. Now, Disney is public, NYSE. DIS, big one.
Right, Disney. Okay, there's the public link. But did anything tied to him, like the show's ratings or, the controversies, did that actually move Disney's stock according to these notes?
The sources are pretty clear here. They mention his 2013 suspension, for instance,
Yeah, I remember that.
and the finding. Minimal, if any, real impact on Disney's stock price. The material suggests basically no significant trading relevance coming from him or the show via that Disney connection.
Huh. Fascinating. So the media link is there, but the market effect based on this really minimal. What about Duck Commander itself, the business? Where does that plug into the market picture in these sources?
Well, the sources point out Duck Commander stuff is sold through major retailers,
Yeah.
big names,
Wait.
like Walmart, definitely publicly traded, WMT, and also places like Bass Pro Shops, though that one's private.
Okay. Walmart, a giant. Did selling through them create some kind of significant financial market link for Robertson or the brand? What do the sources say?
Yeah, the material notes that even a, let's say, big sling in Duck Commander sales, it would likely only have a pretty marginal effect on a company the size of Walmart.
Right, they're massive.
Exactly. And crucially, these sources document, well, notable times where Duck Commander sales actually impacted Walmart's stock in a significant way. So, again, the connection's there, but
But the market relevance documented in these sources just isn't significant. Sounds like a pattern here.
it does seem that way based on this material, yeah.
Yeah.
Connections exist, but the public market impact is consistently found to be small.
What else do the sources mention? Any other avenues? Like collectibles or anything?
They do touch on that. Collectibles, memorabilia, signed items, stuff like that might get traded on secondary markets, maybe online platforms.
Okay.
But the sources sort of describe this as pretty niche, not really a major financial market tie-in,
Yeah.
not in a way that's relevant to broader public trading.
And his more recent focus. The sources talk about his religious and conservative advocacy work. Any market connection there?
According to these sources, his recent activities seem centered squarely in those areas. And they find, well, no prominent ties to stock trading or crypto or any kind of financial endorsements linked to that work.
So it really seems like across the board, media, retail, niche stuff, recent work, these sources consistently find a lack of significant direct ties to public financial trading.
That's the strong takeaway from this particular set of materials.
Could the original question maybe have been hinting at something else, like not literal trading?
That's an interesting thought the sources kind of nudge towards. Maybe a metaphorical trading opinions, influence online,
Yeah, like social media clout?
possibly.
Yeah.
But the sources are careful to clarify their focus, and so our focus in this deep dive is strictly on financial trading. And on that front, they just don't find a significant connection for him.
Got it. Okay, let's pull it all together then, based strictly on the sources we've looked at today.
Okay. Based on this material, yes. Phil Robertson has a huge public profile. He's linked to publicly traded companies like Disney and Walmart.
For sure.
But these sources show minimal direct relevance to public financial markets or stock trading. That applies to him personally and to his ventures impacting those specific stocks.
It really highlights something interesting, doesn't it? High visibility, connections to big players. It doesn't automatically mean direct market involvement or impact, at least according to this information.
Exactly. The information here points pretty clearly towards a limited financial market connection.
So here's something to think about after listening to this deep dive. We saw with Phil Robertson, based on these sources, that even with a massive profile and links to huge public companies, there wasn't much direct financial market relevance found. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What really are the key things that create a significant link between a public figure and the financial world? It seems it's probably more